In this channel, we bring you the freshest discussions taking place in Japan's online community.
Vietnam's economy is struggling, with the collapse of the real estate bubble being the direct cause. Significant real estate investments from China have been boosting the Southeast Asian economy. However, recently, that Chinese money has started to reverse its flow. Investment from China has been noticeably declining since around 2020.
Southeast Asia seems to have relied on China more than we thought. When you go to rural areas in Vietnam, it gets pitch black at night. If Vietnam stops the Doi Moi policy and undergoes a communist revolution, if Vietnam's economic downturn is influenced by China, I feel like Japan should be concerned too. But oddly, Japan doesn't seem affected. Japan is also affected. Shiseido, which excessively expanded into the Chinese market, has announced layoffs due to a drastic decrease in sales in China. There is not a single Japanese individual or company that owns land or real estate in China. If I had to name one, maybe Mori Building. China is a socialist country, so the concept of private land ownership doesn't even exist there. Vietnamese women are hard workers, but many men aren't, which makes it tough. Vietnam is facing a serious real estate recession. Many buildings under construction have been halted, while the banking sector should be experiencing a sharp increase in bad debts. The reality is unclear. Nevertheless, Vietnam's National Statistics Bureau is promoting an increase in GDP. But nobody believes it. Hate to say it, but Southeast Asia is still a colony, now and then. Places engaging in growth rate fraud ultimately rely on foreign investment economies. If they are deemed useless, they won't receive bait anymore, which is inevitable. Countries that cozy up to China will be stripped bare. Whether it's China, Japan, the US, or Russia, Southeast Asia will go wherever it's pampered. Making countries dependent and obedient to China is China's basic strategy. But the crucial core is on the verge of collapse. Wouldn't it be better for Southeast Asia to live longer as the world's factory? Real estate bubbles are 100 years too early for Vietnam and Thailand. It was an abnormal situation for land prices in developing countries to be on par with Tokyo's, despite being called the capital or being predicted to grow in the future. Or Japan being considered past its prime, it was a bubble. Seems like Thailand is also going through a tough time. Their birth rate has also significantly declined. Vietnam's real estate market dying is due to capital outflows caused by rising U.S. interest rates, forcing them to reluctantly raise interest rates even further. It has nothing to do with China. No, it's related to China. In 2016, due to the sharp depreciation of the renminbi, capital flight occurred from China, and real estate in Vietnam and Cambodia sold well. In 2020, due to COVID-19 and the collapse of China's real estate bubble, the flow of gold from China to Vietnam's real estate stopped. It feels like Vietnam-made products easily transition to India-made products. There are many made in China clothes, but it would be great if there were more made in Vietnam clothes. If other countries start lowering interest rates, the yen will automatically strengthen. Vietnam has immersed itself in materialism, so it's going to be hell from here on. Thailand, which has been the fastest growing country in Southeast Asia, has stagnated at a GDP growth rate of around 1 to 2%, similar to or slightly better than Japan, for about 5 to 6 years. If you're going to be economically invaded, it has to be America, after all. Japan is proving that. Chinese economic downturn equals Southeast Asian economic downturn. China manipulates indicators, so it's hard to see. but Southeast Asia's indicators are relatively better. Until recently, Vietnam had a Chinese-style household registration system, where rural areas were discriminated against and neglected in education and infrastructure development. Even in Thailand, where foreign direct investment has flowed in, the economy has plateaued. Southeast Asia can't escape the middle-income trap anywhere. One of the reasons is that the level of education isn't improving. The skills of college graduates are too low. Asia's economies are controlled by overseas Chinese, so it's natural that there's a lot of trade with China. Vietnam only has about 20 years left before its labor force starts declining. There's a lot to be done before then. But the Vietnamese Communist Party is only enthusiastic about bribery and embezzlement, not doing any work. About a year ago, someone living in Thailand said that factories in Southeast Asia were shutting down. Like during Japan's bubble collapse. Seems like it was true. Even in Japan, the wealth gap is widening. But households with annual incomes of over 30 million yen are smiling, as their stock prices rise, doubling their assets. Indonesia, which betrayed Japan and bought Chinese trains, seems like it will come crawling back to Japan if China collapses. It's alarming that developing countries are barely achieving a nominal 5% growth rate. They're surpassing Japan. Southeast Asia is shaking due to its collusion with China. Even Thailand, which seemed to have a booming economy, is under military rule, which is unbelievable. It might be better to stay away for a while. Vietnam also had a real estate bubble. I think the damage is less than China's though.
Did you find this video interesting? We'll keep bringing you fun topics from Japan's online community. Please subscribe to the channel and drop some comments.